So if you're thinking of buying a house in 2024, we're going to unpack all the things that you need to know right now, what's going on in the market. If you were thinking of making offers, if you actually have a house to sell, if you think you're going to come in and actually make low offers right now in this market, or you actually think the opposite, which is you're going to be ultra competitive and make your offer look really great. We're going to unpack that all in this video in the next 5 minutes? I mean, let's be real. It's probably going to take 15 minutes, but
maybe 20.
We'll try to make it happen in 10.
So the first thing that I think of when I think about what you need to know is your monthly payment. What is it going to be and how high is it considering what has happened in the last couple of years? I would say a couple of years ago was normal for us to be talking about, you know, 25, 26, 2,800. Now we're talking 37, 39,
5,000 a month.
5,000 depending on how big of a home and how much of a down payment you have. So payments have gone up significantly in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it would be great if you were shopping 3 years ago because you could get twice as much house for the money, really. I mean, that's really how the math works. So everybody's dealing with this. You need to know it too. We're talking about buying a house in this environment, and you need to know it's become normal. And so this is what it is.
Yeah, so rates have gone from normal being the mid fives now to normal being hovering around 7%. So what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I mean, they came from under 3 to now being 7 kind of being the norm. And here's the thing. Everybody thinks they've got this, the media, everybody's been talking about interest rates actually decreasing like really fast, right? Like, oh, just buy the house now because the rate's going to go down and then you can refinance. What's that stupid thing that everybody's saying?
Date the rate, not the house.
Yeah, marry the house, date the rate. Like the stupidest thing ever. All those people who said that look like idiots.
Marry the house, divorce the rate.
I never said that, by the way.
Good.
Because we can't predict what the Fed's going to do or any of these things. We just look at all the information we have at the time. But what you need to know is, are the rates going to go down? Probably. Are they going to come down substantially back to where they were during kind of post-COVID, where you're getting 3% interest rates? No, they're not. They're probably never going back there again unless something weird happens.
It's a drastic scenario for that to happen. So then it's like, okay, what are the other impacts that could negatively impact you anyway? So that could mean that like a whole bunch of people have lost their jobs, including you, and then you can't afford your house anyway. So what is the point?
The decision to make is, do I buy now with these rates or do I wait like a lot of people? So the reason why inventory is low is everybody is sitting on the fence that owns a property now at 3% interest rate on their current mortgage, and they're not selling unless they have to, unless they're experiencing some sort of ultimate pain, which is they have to relocate, they're getting a different job, they have health crisis, something along those lines. They had 1 or 2 kids, and now they need a bigger property, right? This is why the inventory is low. This is why the inventory will stay low, is specifically for this reason. And so what I predict will happen is if we're looking at low 7s for interest rate, you're going to see it just really come down, but very, very slowly. So I looked at the forecast recently for Fannie Mae and all the different people who are checking out rates and kind of, you know, the pros, right? And they all kind of say the same thing, which is it's the second quarter, third quarter, it's the third quarter now, fourth quarter, first quarter of next year. Like we're talking about like very slow retraction of rates. So not 2 points, right? Not like going to...
You're not going to see 4% anytime soon.
Yeah.
So get comfortable with 6.5.
Yeah. So if you need to move now, or in the next 6 months or in the next 12 months, do not be waiting for that lower rate because the difference it's going to make on your monthly payment is not going to be substantial. And in the meantime, what's going to happen is the house prices will probably continue to go up. Right now, they're actually increasing in our marketplace. I know there's some areas in the country where they're doing the opposite, but those are areas that had heavy explosion of property values. That's not what we're talking about here in Thurston or Pierce County, Washington, right around Joint Base Lewis McChord.
So something else that needs to be known if you're looking in this market right now is that there's a lot of information out there for buyers saying that they're going to be able to make this low ball offer, cut a deal, go offer 30% or whatever, lower than whatever the asking price is. It's crazy. That's not going to happen in this market here. There are some homes that are slightly overpriced, and what we're seeing is like 15 days on the market is pretty normal. So if it's on the market for longer than 20 days, you might be able to get your closing costs paid and a little bit of a discount on the price, but it's not going to be like this huge dramatic.
Yeah, the market's not crashing.
Yeah, and no one's going to say yes to that.
No.
So you're just wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, it's kind of the tale of two different stories, right? So one story is the house that just got listed, which is probably the one you're going to be looking at because it's probably the best
and
new
it's
home.
At the top of the search. It comes up first when you're starting to look online. Yep.
And if it's priced good right now, the location's good, the condition's good, and the price is good, it's probably going to sell. The average market time is 12 days right now for the median. So the average home is selling in about 2 weeks. And so it doesn't mean you can go negotiate this crazy deal on that property. That being said, if you're looking on Zillow or Redfin and you see a house and it's been on the market for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, yeah, absolutely. On that one, you can go pretty much offer whatever you want. That's not going to offend the seller. And you may get under 20,000 or 30,000 or 50,000. But the majority of the deals that people actually want to buy, not the house that has a lot of problems and those things, is going to sell pretty quickly still.
And for close to, if not at or slightly above asking price.
Yep.
Still, we're at like 99, 100.
Yep.
As far as percentage of asking price versus sales price.
Yep. So what that means is if a home is listed for 500,000, location's good, condition's good, it's priced right, that means it's going to sell for 100% of its asking price. So 500 is 500, 100%. And that's what the numbers say. So when we start looking at it in a real detailed way, those homes that are on the market for 14 days plus, those are going to go for about 96%. So now that means, just like we said, right, a $500,000 house could go for 4% under, which is about $20,000, which means it would sell for $480,000. So those are the ones you can negotiate on, the house that's been on the market for a while. So all the clients we work with, we make a very distinct, clear expectation, a line in the sand is that brand new listing, it's probably going to be tough to negotiate on. You're probably going to have to buy it for the asking price. In fact, you might have to go over. But that home that's already been sitting there for a while, let's go negotiate on that.
So another thing that we're seeing in this market right now is sellers are just not willing to do a lot of repairs, where it typically was the case that we would go back and forth and negotiate things like a new water heater if it was outdated, or painting the exterior of the home, or even I'm seeing roofs, like people are giving pushback for wanting to replace a roof that needs to be replaced. And my theory is, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think it's just the cost of repairs and labor have gone up so much, and everybody knows it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not going to be $4,000 to fix something. It's going to be 8 or 9.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's a lot of dynamics going on at the same time here. Just know if you're a buyer, I don't want you to be scared that you can't go negotiate a good deal on a good house. It just means that you have to be aware that there's this element of arrogance of sellers. They still know that they're in kind of the driving position, especially on a new listing, like the ones we talked about that go for about the asking price. So find yourself a good realtor and check the house out in advance. Maybe look for ones that have already been pre-inspected, because there's still a percentage of those in the marketplace where you can go look at a house and they've already done an inspection. Now, I would advocate you still have your own, but that being said, I mean, that agent or that inspector should have looked over the house, pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, and just be aware that there are going to be things, unless you're shopping primarily in new construction, which there's still things you have to do there too. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at homes that are previously owned, you're going to have to probably come in and do some work. And so taking that inspection punch list and recognizing, like, okay, what of these things can I do by myself? What of these things can I have help with from people I know? And what of these things am I going to have to hire out? Ask your agent to help you budget out what that looks like. Most of us have a lot of experience hiring contractors and running these things through scenarios to give you a good idea of what they're going to cost.
Yeah, and I mean, if that concerns you, where you may have a lot of things that you've got to take on afterward, just know that there's still plenty of houses. I just helped a buyer look at a property. We looked at 3 properties. One was really clean. We could tell just by looking at it. The roof was brand new. The siding was good. All the high ticket items. The water tank had been replaced. The furnace had been replaced. There's not a lot left over as long as the plumbing's not leaking. And so we checked the house out. Everything checked out. And he's in there for at his cost, which was what he negotiated. And he doesn't have to really worry about anything else. And then you throw a home warranty on top of that, and you're even covered extra in case an appliance goes out. I mean, there's ways to navigate around everything here.
So a lot of people think twice about this process, especially if they have a home to sell. It seems a little scary having to navigate a market like this where there's low inventory, competitive, there's not a lot of wiggle room and all that good stuff. So then if you have on top of that a contingency of selling a home you already own in order to buy the home that you want to buy, it gets a little wonky.
Yeah, we could talk about this for 20 minutes. We're not going to, by the way, but the thing is if you have the home to sell and you are chasing all those top listings, the ones that you're probably going to want to buy because they're the best listings, that seller is probably not going to wait for you to, 1, list your house, 2, get a contract on it, 3, get it inspected, so all those things. And so it's a tricky area to navigate. So there's a lot of options though. There's there's financing for bridge loans. A lot of people who end up writing an offer contingent on selling their home actually would qualify to buy the next house as well. So look at your income, talk to your lender, see what your options are, whether it's the bridge loan or whether writing non-contingent. Because the simple fact is if the market time is only 2 weeks, you are going to be able to go find that other house. You are going to be able to negotiate on a non-contingent, and you are going to be able to turn around and list your home and get it sold to where you don't have 2 payments. Maybe you have 1 extra payment. That's pretty much the worst case scenario. So, I'm going to end up with 2 payments forever, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not. As long as your house doesn't have any major issues, you are going to be able to sell it in this market. You are going to be able to buy the new house and then come back and sell your home. And if for some reason you're not able to qualify with a bridge loan or non-contingent, it just means that you need to talk with a great realtor, have them come by, have them look at your property, come up with a great game plan in advance, get your house all the way to the point where you're ready to list it, do all the painting and whatever needs to be done, and be looking at the listings that are coming up for sale. Know that you're looking at something where you're seeing at least 2 or 3 houses pop up that you would have bought if you were ready. And then you can make the leap at that point and either get your house listed in advance, go out and try to do the contingent purchase. Just know your options will be more limited. Get that house under contract, come back, sell your property. Sounds like a lot to take on, but the thing is all the work is in you preparing your home. If you want to make the most amount of money, that's where all the work is. You do need to do the decluttering. You should do the painting. If you've got some things that are broken, you do need to fix them if you want to make the most amount of money. All the work is there. That's the overwhelming part. The overwhelming part is not even finding the new house and buying the new house, which is what most people think the overwhelming part is.
Yeah, I think it's scary, not knowing where you're going to go, putting your home up for sale, 100%. Knowing that you're going to have to leave. And so it's more like just making the leap is the term that you use, which I think is very true. And then also being realistic about what the next step looks like, and kind of similar to what we were talking about before, not like falling in love with those brand new listings and trying to go contingent on them, because nobody's going to want to do that in the first week or 2 of listing their house.
Very few.
If you're in that position, you just got to get used to looking at listings that have been on the market for more than 10 days. Mm-hmm. So then you can probably negotiate your contingency. If you're not one of those, I'm going to leap and just make it happen people, I'll move into an apartment or I'll live with my cousin or whatever it takes to do the thing. If you have to do the contingency, you need to start looking at stuff that's been on the market longer.
Yeah. I mean, in order, check with the lender, make sure you truly have to be non-contingent. Check with the lender, see if you qualify for some kind of bridge loan. And by the way, some lenders that you talk to, they all work for different banks that have different products. If you have somebody you trust, it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to give you exactly what you need with that potential bridge loan. So sometimes you got to branch out from what you're used to get that problem solved. So in that order, like we said, all this stuff happens over a period of many days. And when you're thinking about it in advance and you're thinking it's all going to happen at the same, in the same week, it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, it's not a light switch.
So work with somebody who's done this many times so they can help you really put the pieces together to come up with a solid game plan to make sure it happens. But like I said, all the work is really in preparing your home. That's where all the pain is. If you've got to cut the grass, that sounds easy, but landscaping, you got to put new garage doors on, like whatever it is you decide to do to make the most amount of money on your property, that's where all the work is.
So lastly, one thing you need to know is, what does it cost out of your pocket, right? Mm-hmm. Like, how much money do I have to come up with? We talked about monthly payment a little bit going up with interest rates, but we're talking about like, what do you need to give out of your bank account when you start this process? So earnest money is a 1. It's typically between 1% and 2% is normal, but it's negotiable.
Yeah, and then you've got
the inspector that you're going to hire, most likely 99% of the time you're going to have the house inspected, so you're going to pay that person to do that.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the appraisal requires a deposit. So those are the things I always talk about. And then of course your down payment, if you're going to do a down payment, if you don't have down payment assistance wrapped into your loan, or you're not a VA zero down type of buyer, then you've got a down payment that you've got to save for, which is anywhere between $3,000 and however much you want to put down.
Yep. So if you're buying a $500,000 house, your earnest money is probably going to be $5,000. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. It's all negotiable. Your home inspection is probably going to cost $500 plus or minus. Yeah, your down payment based off of your loan amount. So some people do 3% down, some people do 5%, some people do 20%, some people do 0%. So whatever that number is for you based off of your conversation with your lender, those are the things that you need to know. That's the money you would need to have kind of queued up and ready to go. And anything that happens at the inspection is typically a part of the seller's expenses. The only thing missing would be there is closing costs for mortgages. And so those are going to range with your lender between maybe as little as 2%, maybe as much as 3.5%. So once you have all that in place, you're kind of ready to go shopping.
If you're relocating to the Olympia area, anywhere really south of Seattle, we have all kinds of information on our channel about the area, what fun things to do. Check out our videos on our channel.
Yeah, there's a ton of links there. So if you want to know about date night in Olympia, or if you just want to know about the best neighborhoods, or you want to know what's around Joint Base Lewis McChord, that's worth your time. Check it out. Just know that you can always reach out to us. You can text or DM, look at the comments or look at the description below in the video for contact information, and feel free to reach out to us. We help people like you all the time.